You're listening to the Exes and Babies podcast, covering the good, bad, and the ugly of co-parenting. I'm your host, Sydney Swonigan, aka the Co-Parent Whisperer. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. I am so excited. This is my second solo episode, and we'll be focusing on baby mamas today. There's just so much that we have to keep in mind. I'm a baby mama, as many of you know. I have a lot of opinions. I have a lot of experience around this, and I have talked to so many baby moms, but I've also talked to a lot of fathers, baby daddies, if you will, who have shared things with me that they've brought things to my attention where I think we just need to talk, because a lot of us are doing our best. A lot of us are doing a great job, but there's some of us out there who are taking advantage of the importance that society places on women when it comes to children. And so we'll jump into that, because I'm just hopeful that someone out there is going to get something out of what I'm saying and make some better decisions. So let's jump into it. One, as y'all know, I've been co-parenting for some time. My son is 10 years old. There was not a lot of examples out there for me to look to in terms of like the do's and don'ts of being, let's say, a baby mom. I'm just going to call it that for now. We're reclaiming it. It's not a bad word in my mind. It's kind of fun for me, actually, baby mama. Anywho, but there wasn't a lot of information about what to do and what not to do. I know I've witnessed things. I've witnessed moms doing great. I've witnessed moms making bad decisions that aren't in the best interest of their child. And I'm hoping that this video can serve as something that people can use for their own journey into how they are going to now, parent and co-parent as someone who's no longer with the partner that they had the baby with. And so let's just go into the don'ts. Let's just get right to it. I am someone who, I'm really grateful for myself in the sense that even if someone has wronged me, if I see the vision and I am focused on the results, which in this case is my son having a healthy, happy life, I can, put certain things to the side, compartmentalize, so I can co-parent well with my ex. So I'll get specific. I think people get confused. I think moms and dads get really confused about, what's allowed and what's not allowed when it comes to co-parenting, if that other person wronged them during the marriage or relationship. I see a lot of folks use their children to retaliate against an ex. And for me, I'll keep it real. I could have easily been someone who was hurt and wanted to get back at my ex for the way he treated me in our relationship. And I could have felt justified in that. I think people feel justified in how they act with their ex. For example, we've heard of people cheating. Like maybe a dad has cheated, and that's the cause for the dissolve of the relationship. Some moms will feel like they have the right to treat that person, that father, any old kind of way. Sometimes they might even think they're justified. They're like, hey, if I couldn't have trusted this person in our relationship, why would I trust them with our kid? But we know that just because someone behaves one way with their partner doesn't mean that they're a bad father. So that's where it's really important to compartmentalize. I was cheated on, and I think I showed up really well in terms of, separating those things out. Yes, I held him accountable, and we had conversations around that as we were breaking up. But when it came time to talk about Dior, our son, I wasn't weaving that in. I wasn't weaving that hurt into those conversations. I was just trying to keep it to the logistics, okay, who's going to pick him up? Who's going to drop him off? What does he need? What's the expenses and things like that? Now, were there things that were problems in a relationship that also trickled into challenges of co-parenting? Absolutely. And I know I'm being facetious when I say this, but I'm like, yay, you still get to work on the things that didn't work during your relationship. How great is that? You get another opportunity to try to solve the communication issues or the financial issues and things like that. Woo! But one of the things that we struggled with was communication, and was connecting in a way that was authentic and being really truthful about where we're at. Not people pleasing. I'm totally guilty of people pleasing. And so, there's times in my co-parenting where I'll enable or I'll do things to keep the peace in the co-parenting dynamic at my own expense, right? And sometimes we do that as parents. My thing is, as long as you're weighing it out, like you're making a conscious decision, like, hey, I am choosing to take on this burden in this moment because I do feel like this will have better outcomes for my child. I can handle it, or this is just the best decision. But it's horrible when you find yourself falling into these patterns and you're not actually consciously making a decision to, hey, I'm going to make this decision that's going to inconvenience me for the sake of our child. And that can get draining, and years of that can be crazy. And I have dealt with that, and I'll go into more detail about that in the future. I can't really speak on it too much right now because of some of the things we're managing, more to come. But yeah, so for those baby mamas, and of course, everything I'm saying applies to fathers too. They be on some F stuff as well, but we're just focused on baby mamas today. We've seen it all before. We've seen where the mom will withhold the child. Well, you didn't pay child support, so you don't get to see your child, which I don't think those things should be conflated, because at the end of the day, your child needs to see their father. Of course, there's caveats and there's examples where like maybe that's actually not best, but majority of the time, I would venture to guess that there is a lot of benefit for a child to see their father. And so withholding your child because you're not getting child support is not the same. It's not apples and apples. That is apples and pineapples. I can't think of another fruit, or vegetable. But the point is it's just not, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Hold them accountable, definitely, and use the system if you need to get things done there with the finances, but to not let your child see their father because of that. Because mind you, again, that's impacting your child. Now, not getting child support also impacts your child, but don't add on to it. Don't be another reason your child's not getting their needs met, which in this case is seeing their father. Get some healing. You have to go get therapy, in my opinion, or find your community, whatever it is, healing, your faith, and a lot of self-reflection and honesty when it comes to, okay, am I making decisions right now based off of how I was hurt? Or am I making decisions based off of what's best for our child? And you got to be honest. What does that mean? What does best for our child even mean? Because some people will conflate the two of, well, I need this, so this is what's best for our child. And sometimes that could be the case. But, someone can say, I don't want to deal with him. I don't want to see him ever again. He hurt me. He's a bad guy. He's a narcissist. Ooh, people love to throw that N-word around, a narcissist. Everyone's ex is a narcissist, it seems. Everyone's a doctor. You guys know how I feel about that just people throwing that term around. But I said to say, people say, I don't want to deal with this person, and therefore it's in my best interest to not have to communicate with them, to not have to do certain things. And if I feel better, then that means our kid's going to feel better. And there is definitely, that is true in a lot of ways. However, that sounds more selfish, honestly. There are ways to communicate with your ex in a way that still protects your energy and protects you while still having those conversations that are needed so that your kid can get their needs met when it comes to you co-parenting and communicating with your ex. So, and we'll cover things like apps and things like that in the future. As you guys know, one of our sponsors have been our Family Wizard for past events. And so we love partnering with them. That's a great app that I'll be looking into. I know friends who've used it to allow parents to communicate in a way that is admissible in court. Nothing can be deleted or edited. Also, you can have your lawyer or parent coordinator involved in that chat. They can see everything if you invite them to. And it has a tone meter. It has a tone meter. We'll say, okay, are you sure you want to send that? That's a little spicy. Might want to dial it back. And now they have some other features leveraging AI to help folks have better communication. But if your concern is, communication and you don't want to deal with that person a lot because it brings things up for you, don't completely cut it out unless it is, again, those other examples, extreme examples. Just assume I'm talking about more moderate examples. We're not talking about domestic violence here. That's a whole nother thing. And you need to protect yourself in other ways and do what the experts say around that. But as far as those in that middle ground here, yes, find tools and ask yourself truly, am I taking this action? Am I behaving this way? Am I making this choice because I'm uncomfortable and I don't want to do something, or is it truly in the best interest of our child? Now, again, your comfort is important. Our comfort is important. And there's been times where I have allowed myself to be more uncomfortable than I needed to be for the sake of my child in the name of co-parenting. I think people really confuse what co-parenting is. Co-parenting does not mean you're best friends. It does not mean you're going on vacation together. It does not mean that you get so excited exchanging your child or children. You do not have to hug or like each other. You do not have to be fake. Cordial is good. You can be cordial. But I think people get really confused. And I know that I believe my ex has been confused about what co-parenting is. My ex and his partner, they thought that it was like, oh, us hanging out, us doing holidays together. Yes, that is co-parenting, but that's a nice to have. That's not a must have for co-parenting. The must-haves are, communicating just enough to be able to get the logistics down, to communicate about what your kids need, what you're seeing at each household, advocating for your child, getting the help that they need, splitting expenses, whatever those things are. If you can come together for a birthday, great, but that is not mandatory. That is not required. And so I watched this video that went viral the other day, and it was a woman saying, she was like, am I keeping you in the loop, or are we co-parenting? And what she meant by that, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but she's saying like she had a partner or a co-parent who's not that involved. But she was still being thoughtful and sending photos and updates. Oh, our child took their first walk or took their first step, or our child's going to be in this basketball game or doing this and that. And while I think there's a lot of beauty to that and just sharing in those moments of these milestones for your children, and keeping pops updated. And I think that helps the child too, for pops or mom to be updated about what's going on, especially if it's important. Or really important to the child. However, you don't have to do that either. I think she was realizing that in the video, like, I don't have to do this. She's kind of overextending herself. She's people pleasing a little bit. Like, come have those memories yourself. Come involve yourself with your child, without needing me to keep you in the loop. And I don't think her choosing to send extra texts or not means that she's co-parenting or not. I don't think those are connected so much, if that makes sense. So whether you're keeping them in the loop or not, I don't think that comes down to the basics of co-parenting, unless it's like, hey, they had an allergy attack, right? Or, we're at the hospital, God forbid, or, they have this big milestone event and they want you to be there. But as far as like, oh my God, they're riding their first bike, that's a choice. That's a choice. You don't have to do that. It doesn't make you good or a bad parent, whether you choose to do it or not. But be clear as to why you're not doing it. Are you doing it as a way to retaliate because you haven't dealt with some of the emotions and addressed other things? I think that's what I was picking up from that video, was she was so frustrated with the lack of engagement from that father that she was going to no longer do this nice thing for him. And that is her choice. And again, I don't think that makes it co-parenting or not, whether she's sending those photos or not. But yeah, I just ask yourself why you're doing something, why you're choosing not to do something, why you are doing something, and where is it coming from? Be honest with yourself. Ask for friends' perspective. And I mean, you know what friends to ask questions of. Don't ask the friend who's going to be like, girl, he's a piece of shit. Anyways, but like, ooh, that came from the heart. But he's, this and that, or, don't listen to him, or get full custody, things that people say to show that they're in support of you, but they're not challenging you. Don't go to the people who aren't going to challenge you. Go to the people who know what's at stake. They know that your child's well-being is at stake. So they're going to hold you accountable as well as the other person accountable, the other parent. And work that muscle. Just work it. Just work that muscle. Am I doing this because I'm hurt? Am I doing this because I feel like this is overextending myself or not extending myself? But you get what I'm saying. Okay, I want to get back to one of the episodes that we did recently with Bobby Ray Jones Jr., Yoga Bob, former NBA player. He shared that story that was just, I like needed to decompress after that story, after that recording, because I was just so sickened by, I'm only getting one person's perspective, right? But going off of that, to hear that his child's mother called the police, or excuse me, he actually chose to call the police, so that was interesting. He chose to call the police to document what was happening, not to cause anything else. But because they came and she was claiming there was domestic violence, then they actually do. I just learned this from a lawyer. They actually do have to arrest somebody. Someone has to go. Someone has to go get arrested if a domestic violence call happens, which is obviously really horrible if you actually did not commit domestic violence. And we'll go to that. We'll come back to that. But the reason that they do that is because there have been so many instances where someone calls saying, hey, there was domestic violence. And then the other person's like, oh, you know how these people can, how these women can be, or how these men can be. I don't know who's doing the domestic violence in that case, but oh no, don't worry about it, cops. The cops leave and then things escalate or someone dies, right? And so, or it's murdered, we'll just call it that. Truly, domestic violence can lead to murder, unfortunately. And trigger warnings, I'll throw those in the description, because I know it's a serious topic. But I said to say someone has to be arrested, which is crazy. I hate that for people who did not actually commit anything. But so they ended up arresting him because she gave the story of, oh, he's threatened me, saying he's going to get people to jump me, and he shoved me. And she knew, she's like, hey, who do you think they're going to believe, me or you? And she's a white woman, he's a black man. Anyways, there's so many levels to that, right? But now I want to talk to the moms who do that. The moms who do false allegations, who maybe feel back. I don't know what would drive someone to, that is not in me to lie at a level like that, especially. So I obviously can't relate. And I don't know if someone who would do something like that could even receive this feedback. I don't know if they have the emotional, mental capacity to even hear this. But I said to say, for those who do, I know things can escalate. I know emotions can run high. I know that we're not set up for success as co-parents, to know that there's other resources, or that there be other resources besides going to the cops, besides going straight to the court. I'm a co-parent coach. Lean on me. There's other co-parent coaches. There's therapists. There's parent coordinators. There's all kinds of resources that you can leverage before you involve the cops and a court, right? And as I'm a black woman, and for my listeners who are of marginalized groups, I think it's even more important for us to use other tools before, unless it really needs to be, unless you really need to involve the police or what have you, because there's actually violence happening. But I think that if our community of co-parents knew that there were other resources and leveraged that and were socialized to use that before calling the cops, like even the gentleman I was just referring to, he shouldn't have even called the cops, even if he's like, oh, I want to document this, but he didn't know any other resources. This was 10, 15 years ago. So I say it to say, one, for success to even find something else. But now you are, I'm telling you right now, you've heard it now. Co-parent coaches, therapists, there's other folks you can call. I bet you there's some kind of hotline. I don't know about co-parenting hotline. That would be so cool. But some kind of hotline where you can like try to de-escalate things, or have a person that you guys mutually respect. Call them up. Hey, things are escalating. We need your help right now. Can you help? I'm gonna put you on speaker, like something like that. But lean on some other tools. Now, if that mother had access to those other tools, would she have used them? I don't know. But in the case where someone chooses to opt into escalating things and using false allegations, my question is always like, do you realize the impact you're having on your child and yourself? When you're abusing the system, you're not actually making your life better. Like people and moms who are abusing the system to retaliate or to control things that maybe they don't need to be the only one controlling, right? Or they don't have the right to control certain things. It's messed up. It's messed up, one, but two, I think there's work to be done. I think there's work that can be done on an internal level. The thing about co-parenting that sucks the most, in my opinion, is feeling helpless. Again, these stakes are high. These are our children, and childhood is the most important part of their lives. It determines who they're going to be, if they love themselves, if they can love others, what kind of jobs they're going to have. Like, what we do impacts their lives and everyone else's that are impacted by them. And so I get the fear and the want to control and want to do what's best and what have you. But for the women who are abusing the system or going crazy or whatever, not going crazy, but like making horrible decisions, you need to ask yourself, is this actually bringing me the peace or the control or sense of winning that I want? Is that winning? Is calling the cops so your ex can get arrested, maybe in front of your child, actually winning? Because if you think that's winning, shame on you. That's not winning, because that's not winning when it comes to your child. Your child is going to be, we know how harmful that can be for a child to witness that. And also, if things had escalated for this Black man, your child could have no dad. Your child could have a dead dad. Like, let's keep it real. We know how these things can escalate in a Black man and house call and domestic violence. And if he would have, like he said, if he would have like responded with emotion and natural responses to things like this, things could escalate very quickly for him. And so, and all because of a disagreement around water guns, water balloons or something like that. I don't know that mom had peace that night. If she did, that's sad. That's weird and what have you. But a lot of the things that people do to find peace and protect their energy is not actually doing that for them. It's causing issues for others. And then I don't know about you, but when I'm doing wrong, I feel it. Even if I don't consciously like put a lot of time into thinking about it, which this is rare for me, I truly believe, but it doesn't sit right in my spirit. I don't know if you guys believe in bad karma, but I believe when you do wrong, you're not only just hurting your child, you're doing wrong for yourself. And when you're speaking ill of your co-parent, things like that, those words are vibrating in your body as well. I love the book Four Agreements. I think I've referenced it probably multiple times, but be impeccable with your words. So even just your word and your actions, how you treat your co-parent, even if you don't like them, especially if you don't like them, matters. It impacts you, it impacts your spirit, and of course, and more importantly, it impacts your child. They can feel that. We've even heard from guests who are adults now who can remember being co-parented, what the impact was of their, let's say, mom talking poorly about their dad. Even if the mom felt justified, like, well, he doesn't pay for child support. The reason why he can't do basketball is because he, whoop, 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 right? That makes the child feel bad. If it puts them in the middle, and they might like their dad. So the things that you are saying about them, or they might identify with their father, right? So when you're putting their father down, they feel like you're putting them down. Don't believe me? Look it up yourself. Go talk to a child psychologist. Kids are self-centered. Naturally, they should be. That is healthy for them to be, focused on themselves. But when bad things happen around them, they automatically think it's them. Doesn't matter what you say, what you do. They will think it is their fault. Or that you're talking poorly of them. And so please, 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 please be careful around, what you're saying, but then also what you're doing when it comes to your ex. Be thoughtful. Okay, we talked about the don'ts. I just want to reiterate, moms who were wronged during their relationship, your feelings are valid. Your feelings of hurt, anger, maybe some resentment, like whatever it is, they're valid. And you got to compartmentalize. Manage those really big feelings. I'm asking you to do a lot. I know not everyone can do this. This is hard, but you have to take those feelings and work on them over here. Yell, cuss the person out in your head, at your pillow, like with your girlfriends, with your therapist, do all that. I'm not saying pretend like you're not hurt. I'm saying put it over here and manage it over here, not in front of your child. Yell. It can be outward, whatever it is, therapy, journaling, going to church, whatever it is for you. Do it. Feel the things. I'm not saying bottom up, but right here, when we're over here talking about our child and managing our co-parenting dynamic, you got to tap into something else. You got to tap into the Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high, right? That can apply to a lot of situations. But when they go low, we go high. And it's not about whether it's fair or not. It's about, will you get to sleep better at night because you make great decisions and your child is better off. Even if the other parent is doing really unfair things, you piling on because you felt like you were justified actually does not help. And it is still great for a child to see at least one parent behaving maturely, even if they don't get it till later. And you will thank yourself. You will like yourself. And the drama, the turmoil, I really think all the negative energy of it just won't penetrate your soul the same way. That's pretty dramatic. But don't feed that beast with them. Leave that over here. Do what you got to do. Heal. Because you're not making anyone's situation better by bringing that over here, retaliating against your ex, using the legal system, using whatever it is. I really hope that the baby mamas who need to hear this, because there's a community for you. There's a community. Come to Excellent Babies. We're going to have more opportunities for folks to connect in the future. But we have safe spaces for you to release and vent and be in community, where you're then, when it's time to go be a co-parent or a parent, you're not bringing that into that world. You deserve the peace that comes from you acting within your own values and walking within your higher self. I really, really believe that no matter what they're doing over there, do you over here. And I think you'll be really proud of yourself at the end, and your child will be better off for it as well. Yeah. And then as far as the do's, baby mamas, go have fun where you can. Make time. Ask for help. Ask for help from your community, from your co-parent, if appropriate, right? Ask for help if you need it to get things done or to go have free time. Take care of yourself. And really check in, create boundaries for yourself when it comes to your co-parent and your children, and how you navigate interacting with your children. Make a list of things, or make a checklist or a list of principles of, like, how do you want to show up? What would make you a great co-parent? What makes you a great baby mama? How do you want to be as a baby mama? What would make you sleep really well? What would make you proud of yourself when you look back 10 years? And most importantly, in my opinion, what would make your child look back and be proud of you? Because I don't know about y'all, but my son's opinion of me and our relationship that I want to have forever is really important to me. So I'm always thinking about how to respect him in this co-parenting dynamic to the best of my abilities for his interest and for our relationship. Yeah. So I'm going to close it out because I think I've covered a lot. But I would love to hear from other folks, like what else do baby mamas need to think about doing and not doing to make sure that they're showing up for their kids in a way that makes them proud as well and isn't causing unnecessary harm to the co-parenting dynamic and to another human that is the father of their child or mother of their child. I have very heteronormative terms today. Please forgive me. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there, but thanks y'all for listening, and please comment again if there's other things I didn't think of, and take care of yourselves. It's a crazy time right now. Take care of yourselves, try to be in community, and give yourself grace. We're not all going to get it perfect. None of us are, actually. That's just not what we do as humans. But you got this, and please, please, please keep making great decisions. Please subscribe, share, and like.